Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's NinjaTrader Ecosystem event, Investing Technical Analysis Toolkit. My name is Patrick Hodges, and I'm a NinjaTrader Ecosystem representative. Before we get started with the webinar here today, I do have a few housekeeping notes. This webinar is presented by NinjaTrader LLC, which is the technology company responsible for developing and supporting the NinjaTrader trading software. Brokerage-related questions should be directed to the NinjaTrader brokerage using the phone number or the email that you see on the screen. I'll also put those into the room for you all. If you are new to NinjaTrader, please make sure to sign up for a free NinjaTrader account, which includes access to 14 days of complimentary real-time data. Our platform is always free for advanced charting, strategy backtesting, and trade simulation. You can create your free account by following the link on the screen and then clicking the Get Started option under the Welcome section. And also put the link into the room there for everyone. And I do apologize for everyone who's having to listen to my voice here. I do have a bit of a cold, so I apologize. All right. Now, before I turn the mic over to Will, it's important to understand that futures, foreign currency, and options trading contain substantial risk and is not suitable for every investor. It is possible to lose all or more than the initial investment. Risk capital is money that can be lost without jeopardizing one's financial security or lifestyle. Only risk capital should be used for trading, and only those with sufficient risk capital should consider trading. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. For more information or for a full CFTC risk disclosure, please visit the link I'm entering into the room now. Also, please remember that these presentations, these training sessions, are not a solicitation nor a recommendation, but simply educational in nature. All right, I want to thank everyone once again for joining us today. Without further ado, it's my pleasure to welcome to the NinjaTrader webinar room. Will, go ahead and take it away from me.
Thank you so much, Patrick. I really appreciate it. Everyone here, really appreciate you and your time. Always a pleasure to be in the NinjaTrader ecosystem. Working with those guys and gals, pretty amazing. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Pretty prompt too today. Got a lot to cover. I'm going to get through it as quickly as possible. And want to go ahead and, since I have my slide up here, we'll just start by, the title, if you will, subject of the event. I will preface this whole thing by saying I'm extraordinarily excited about this. This has been kind of a long time coming. And, if you're familiar with PFA and our training, or just in general company, et cetera, you've been in our live streams, you've probably seen that recently, and I hope you've enjoyed it. But that being said, we've been trying to get this product out. It is a little bit unique compared to what you've seen from us, right? So again, we're very excited about that. You just follow along. We are going to have a follow-up event, and I would love for you all to get set up for that. No cost, of course, but we'll be able to go a little bit more in depth, a lot more on chart activity, showing it in real time, showing all this stuff. And we may have an opportunity to do that today. We shall see. But suffice to say, let's get started. We're going to cover what we call our PFAInvestSuite. Okay, and this is specifically for NinjaTrader 8. It is an investing technical analysis tool made as simple as possible, okay, to be most efficient. All right, so here we go. And I really do appreciate, the disclaimer as always. So we won't spend too much time on that. Just one thing that I want to add here is just the fact that please always remember I'm not a licensed professional. And so therefore everything in this presentation, and or for that matter, any other one that we do and you see, we always want to consider those hypothetical, given the fact, as I said, due to the fact that I am not a licensed professional. So I like to make that very clear. Okay. All right, so off to the races we go. And as I said, we have a lot to cover, so I am going to be moving, pretty fast. If you have questions, don't worry, I'll get to them. Perhaps following this session, or even if if we're going through it, you have a question, just post it, but I will get to those, okay? Thank you for your understanding very much. In fact, before we get started, let me make sure I have the chat up and accessible. There we go. We should be all set here. Just kind of expand that. And this is just on my end. I like to get this prepared so that I don't have to go back and do it, just in the event that we want to post something. I know that Patrick was kind enough. He'll be posting a couple links as we go throughout this as I reference them. So that's most appreciated. Okay, here we go. So what is the PFA Invest Suite, right? The Invest Suite is a comprehensive technical analysis toolkit tailored, as I said, for NinjaTrader 8. It consolidates essential investing data resources into a single integrated package. All right. Now, some of this may make sense, some of it might not. Please don't worry. As I said, throughout this and the follow-up event, we're going to have you well covered and fully understood as to what this thing is actually capable of. Okay. So first and foremost, it monitors historical as well as real-time evolving corrections and extensions. It will automatically calculate position sizing. I love this. We're definitely going to spend some time on it. I think it's a very prominent feature. It displays significant price levels directly on your chart. It will deliver essential market metrics in a customizable info box. We'll look at some images later throughout the presentation as well. Okay, but right now let's bullet point it. We're going to get the information to it and then of course take a look as usual. So the suite offers simplicity and clarity, making it suitable both for beginner as well as seasoned traders without unnecessary complexities. And I would say in this regard, it's not necessarily geared either or, beginner or seasoned trader, but a lot of times this does pertain a little bit more to the seasoned traders and or investors, if you will. Okay, so why this matters to traders. Understanding position sizing and market corrections are fundamental to investing very effectively, in fact. Okay. The markets naturally, as we all know, move up and down, creating corrections that provide context. Knowing the exact size of the corrections help to inform our trading decisions. Proper position sizing is essential for consistent market and or risk management. Okay, so as we know, risk management is just a huge part of everything we do. And this tool helps tremendously with that. So having all the information in one place saves us a lot of time as well as reducing confusion. The PFAInvestSuite presents this information visually, giving you or rather a complete picture without the complex calculations. It's very simple, okay? Very powerful, but yet very simple. So the core analysis capabilities of the Invest Suite, the heart of it is it's going to be its constant tracking of ongoing price movements and corrections. As we just mentioned, market's always moving up or down, right? So knowing the exact corrections, extensions, etc., we'll see further in the presentation how advantageous that can be. So it automatically identifies highest price points and it calculates pullbacks and or extensions in both percentage as well as point terms. This gives you immediate context for current price action. And additionally, there's a lot. As a matter of fact, I'll go into this. I always put in the cart before the horse, but we've even made additions to it. So in the follow-up, we're going to be discussing those as well. And it's kind of a little, I'm very excited about it, but very powerful additions even made from what you'll see today. Okay. So again, additionally, daily and year-to-date tracking. So it's going to track both the daily, what's occurring today, what's occurring year-to-date. It'll track all of that to help us understand how today's movements fit into the bigger picture. The visual information system, it presents critical information through a customizable, it's a box on your chart, right? So it's going to be fully customizable as usual. We'll talk about that. It shows multiple tracked correction percentages, daily changes, and position sizing calculations. It can be positioned in different locations of your chart, right? So sometimes we get, bombarded with information, and so we can simplify that. We can have as much or as little as we want, and then we can move it around, to suit our workspaces and so on, to make it very clean so that it's not skewing your views. We choose between horizontal or vertical layouts, fully customizable appearance to match your preferences. This ensures market, I was going to say. So this ensures important data is always available at a glance without switching between indicators. Want to keep that up readily available. Need that information. The information is at your fingertips. Here's a box. Here's a little example there. We'll come into that. Within the information box, you're going to find key metrics organized into an easy to read format. Current correction percentages from multiple reference points, daily and year-to-date market changes, notional value calculations. This is one of those things, right? So we're kind of getting into some of the capabilities. Again, maybe you're not aware of notional value and kind of how that works and why it's super, super important, especially for position sizing, things to that extent. Nonetheless, it is there. Position sizing calculations, those are, as you can see, in the box, but let me move my mouse here. We will come back to that. Trade exposure calculations. So this too, to me, is very advantageous because if I'm looking at my current position, a lot of times we don't. I apologize for the background noise. We have a timer going off there for it's our bar timer. Suffice to say that the trade exposure, I need to know, especially in the futures markets at any given time, what is my exposure? So there's ample amounts of information that goes into that alone, but it's going to compute all of this for you. And if you look over into the left box, you'll see their trade exposure. Now, these are, of course, just hypothetical numbers, but given the fact here, it looks like our tradable lot size would be 4 contracts, which would put our hypothetical exposure there at $118,340. Big number, right? Well, maybe we want to reduce our position size or increase it, for that matter. But we are aware exactly of what we have exposed in the market. And it's not just the trade exposure. There are other things that go into that. We'll talk about that as well. All the information updates in real time as the market moves. That's important because if we're moving throughout and we're only calculating at certain periods of time, things can sometimes happen pretty drastic, right? And very quickly. So we want to be aware of it in real time. It gives you the continuous awareness without the manual recalculations. All right, so here I little highlighted the box. So just look in there, we can see some of the different availabilities, current lows, it's tracking all of this. It's fine, we'll go through each of them. What I want you to just pay attention to there, note that each one of them has both a percentage as well as a points value. This is what we were referring to earlier. Down into the box, you can see the calculations from today, the year-to-date, notional value. We talk about settlement. If you're not fully aware of settlement, I just want to be clear, settlement is different than the market close, okay? So if you look at the chart and you look at where price closed and then you go out to the exchange's website, you might see a different value. So your settlement is where price truly settles for the day. So that's what we would expect to see on, say, our statements, things to that extent. All right. Here's a little picture there for you, but some visual price level system. The InvestSuite creates a dynamic visual framework directly on your chart with horizontal lines at key correction levels. And you can specify these, right? So we can put as many or as few as we want. We just gave some examples here. We have a -5, 10, and 20%. And again, we can also add just positive values. It doesn't really matter. We can increase or decrease however many we want to see, but ultimately it's what we want to determine is simply the important ones. Okay. There are clear labels showing both the percentage as well as the actual price values. Remember, you have a couple of different working components here. So we have our box, which is going to constantly keep us updated with these, real-time calculations, if you will. But we also have it on the chart in a different way. So we can be more aware of, say, a fixed percentage correction and so on. So if you look at the markets and you think in terms of percentage whatsoever, which is why, if you think about it, this is our invest suite. We didn't call it, our trading suite or anything like that, just because we look at this more of an investment tool. All right. So we have an optional vertical line This marks where the highest price occurred. And this is important because when I'm looking at the chart, price actions occurring, it's constantly evolving. I want to know where my calculations are being derived from. So it could have been yesterday, could have been a week, it could have been 5 months ago, right? It's going to show you that via a vertical line if you desire that. So you can toggle it on or off. The system provides immediate reference points for potential support and or resistance areas, creating a complete visual context for understanding market corrections. Here's a better view. It's the same image you were just looking at a moment ago, but a little bit of a, kind of a zoomed in view there to help you see. If you look on the right there, you'll see those are, going to be extended to the right side of the chart. And it shows the little data box in there exactly where in this case, in this hypothetical, because we use 5, 10, 20, So we can see exactly where a 5% correction occurs, 10%. In fact, the other day it was pretty amazing. We were doing a live stream and using this information, someone brought to our attention the equity Tesla. So we pop over and we say, boom, here it is. I can tell you that Tesla has declined 55.58%. That's pretty nice information to have in terms of thinking about buying low and selling high. Okay. All right. So position sizing made simple. I did mention earlier, in my opinion, this is a very important tool. Position sizing is so critical, right? Not only do we have the ability to calculate the position size well, actually, here we go again, putting the cart before the horse. But we'll look at that in just a minute and how that can be, calculated. So managing appropriate position size is indeed crucial for consistent trading. The InvestSuite includes powerful tools that automatically calculate the trade sizes. That's what I was going to say a moment ago, based on your account value and risk parameters. You can use a fixed account value. So for example, I could put in, 10,000. I could put in 1,500. I could put in 100,000. Whatever the number, I could put it in if I want to calculate based on that. Or I can where you can connect it directly to your live trading account via the NinjaTrader user interface for real-time calculations. So what that helps with is just, a dynamic number, right? So again, real time, it's moving. I want to keep those calculations based hypothetically on my own, live trading account so that I can have that information, not just based on a fixed number, but based on, based on my actual number. So this, with all, these calculations, they're going to respect your maximum as well as minimum position size. So we can also specify what we want that to be. We may say, well, here's the account value, but ultimately, no matter what, I don't want to go above or below this. All right. Now, another pretty cool feature here is we have flexible sizing approaches. The nomenclature here might not make sense, so we're going to go through them briefly. And in the follow-up, we will go, much more in depth with this. The InvestSuite offers several approaches to position sizing. We can use threshold methods, and this is essentially dividing the account by a set dollar amount. That's where we're talking about that fixed dollar amount. We can certainly use that if desired. And probably my preferred method is using ratio methods. Now, this is going to consider both the account size as well as the instrument itself and its corresponding values. For example, the S&P happens to be trading currently at 57.44 3/4. So it wouldn't use just some random number for calculation. It's going to use the exact number in real time as it's always evolving. The special features, some of them, pertaining to the sizing, of course, we have a no decreased option, which maintains positions evolved minimum, okay? Meaning don't decrease below this. We also have an option that says increase if lower. So we could require our position sizing to have we could force it to have a lower price in order to increase the position. So we may go up, it may say, hey, you can increase the position theoretically, but in such case, we're gonna say no, because the theory behind buying low and selling high, we have the option to require that before ever increasing size and or decreasing it for that matter. So all options are easily configurable to match your personal trading approach. Customization for your needs. We have to have this, of course. Everyone's a little different, so we can adapt the PFA Invest Suite to your preferences with, we can select which highest price to track. So it doesn't have to be just one. We could, we could use, this is one of those things where, we worked at it a little bit, and I was just kind of going through all the logic, if you will. And what we realized is, every investor is different. I would venture to say many years ago, of course today, but back in the day, if you will, a lot of people tended to use the close values as opposed to the high or the low, etc. But in such case, we can compute our calculations from any of the above, the high, close, open, and so on. Or we can even implement a custom value that says, no, I want you to always calculate from this. Now, why does that matter? Let's say that I'm in a trade and I entered at X. Let's say I entered right now at 50, it's currently trading at 57.45, okay, on the S&P that is. So I could input, so I'm going to take a position, okay? So let's say I implement that and I take a position. I can then go back in and say, okay, now I'm in a position. I want you to further compute. Don't change. Stick to that value. Why? Because that's where my active position was derived. Excuse me. Choose which correction levels to display, both historically and real time, meaning you can display real time, you can display historical, you can display both, which is what you saw in the prior one of the prior images. So you can also, as I said, one or both or neither for that matter. Let me step back. Why is that important? I like to track things. Of course, I want to be aware of them in real time because I need that information, especially when I'm in an active position. But maybe I don't need the historical. The historical is, typically used for, if you want to go back and test things, and that's very advantageous for that purpose. Okay. Configure position sizing parameters to match the risk tolerance. We, excuse me, we briefly touched on this. But again, you can configure things. So we want it to match our unique case. Everyone's different, different account sizes, different, tolerances, and so on. So that it's pretty important thing, excuse me, pretty important to have that option. And we can save these settings as templates for different charts and instruments. Okay. I should say, and or instruments. The visual customizations enhance readability with a user-friendly user interface. So it's simple to implement. There's not, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel with that process, right? We want to keep it simple, what you're used to. So getting started with the Invest Suite is very straightforward. It installs into NinjaTrader via our custom installer. So you simply double click it. It's going to handle everything for you. We're going to add to the charts just like any native indicator. It's very simple. We can do that from a plethora of ways, but ultimately, if we just wanted to load it, we can simply do that from the indicator in list directly on any chart. You can begin with our preset configurations, and you can adjust the settings as you become familiar with the features. There are a lot. We're only touching on some of them, and I think it's very important to get in that follow-up event because before we truly understand the grave importance of each of them, why is it doing what it's doing? Why are those percentage values and corrections and extensions? Why are those so important to me? I can go in far into depth, and we can look at things, with these. I just gave you one case scenario where if I'm in a position, I may want to calculate from that position. Conversely, maybe I'm not in a position. Maybe I'm looking to enter into a position, but I need certain corrections and so on to occur before I am even willing to consider and or entertain entering into a position. You can save your favorite settings as templates. So now we're talking the difference between, you can save chart templates. That's native to NinjaTrader. You can also save the specific settings as a template as well. That way, if you were to go out to a new chart and just directly load the Invest Suite alone, you can have it default and or whatever, you can create as many templates as you like. And so you can do it that way as well. Okay. The learning process is intuitive with immediate visual feedback. Plus, as always, we are extraordinarily happy to support you ongoing. We will support you ongoing. There's a real world application. Let's look at that. In this, excuse me, in the chart here, the example, you can see how the Invest Suite brings pretty extensive clarity. It's not designed to, again, be super complex, but I want the basic and most critical information I could possibly have. An example of that was a moment ago when I referenced Tesla, okay? Who in the room knew that Tesla declined 55.58%, right? Probably not many of us, but we didn't even have to do anything to know that. It was just simply right there for us. Correction levels clearly show the extent of market pullbacks. Information box provides immediate metrics without clutter. We tried to make that as clean as possible. And don't forget, you can have that box, like if you don't want it how I have the image there.
Bar timer threshold has been reached.
Again, I apologize. You can also set that to be horizontal, where it's just it just goes along the bottom side of your chart horizontally. So visually, it just depends on what you want to see and how you want to see it. Position sizing calculations help maintain consistent risk exposure. Again, that trade exposure, I want to know what I'm exposed to at all times. All elements work together to give a comprehensive market view. This consolidated information supports more informed. Is that a word? I don't think so. Informed trading decisions. Hopefully you can all follow along with my silliness. All right, so here's that image. Again, it's relatively straightforward, but it's very simple. You can see I have the box in the bottom right. I can move that anywhere on the chart, or ultimately, again, I can put it horizontally where it doesn't take up so much vertical space of my chart as well. Okay, but honestly, having all of that information in such a, simplistic fashion is easy for us. Okay, here go the benefits, some of them to your trading. The Invest Suite transformed, excuse me, I apologize for the coughing. It transformed complex analysis into clear visual information, saves time by consolidating multiple functions into one tool. When we get in that follow-up and you see all of the possibilities and not just what it will do, but how we can use them in correlation, okay, with one another. And again, we can change things there's so many use cases, and I just don't have time to go through that here in the presentation, but in the follow-up, we absolutely will. It reduces chart clutter while providing comprehensive information, provides consistent reference points for decision-making, promotes disciplined risk management through position sizing. Probably couldn't say that enough. Enhances your trading process with valuable market context. Okay. And finally, I want to bring your attention to this. So I'm giving you a brief overview. It looks like we are going to have time to get out to the charts, which is fantastic. But I would like for, as you can see there in the chat, again, Patrick was so kind to handle that for me. So there's a link right there. Again, folks, look, here's the thing. It's free, number one. Number two, you can get in there, and if you don't want further emails or anything like that, simply unsubscribe. If you don't feel comfortable hitting the unsubscribe button, reply to the email and say, hey, please unsubscribe me. No problem. Look, we never want to send you emails you don't want. Okay, so don't worry about that. The whole point here is to get you into that follow-up event so that we can go into the extensive capabilities and different use cases as to why this is so very powerful for investing purposes. All right. And we couldn't do it without the special webinar offer, right? Couldn't do that. Oh, no, we would never do that. All right, folks, so today's special package is going to include the Invest Suite indicator. It'll come with it'll be pre-configured, right? So that way you can just plot it on your chart, go to town. Excellent. Follow-up event. We can talk about how we can change that, manipulate it, make it more customizable to our situation. Okay. You will, of course, get free ongoing live training. And if you're not already aware, if you haven't been following PFA and things like that, I really encourage you to go out to our YouTube channel. You will see our daily live streams. I think you'll get a very good understanding of what and how we do things very quickly. See us, trading and all that good fun stuff. We do a lot for educational purposes, right? So hopefully you'll enjoy that. We've gotten extraordinarily good feedback from that. We are most appreciative for all of that, folks. So just if you are one of those who provided feedback, thank you so much. It really does mean a lot. Okay. And here it is. This is, I can tell you, most definitely not going beyond, but we're going to do a whopping 60% off for the next 72 hours. All you have to do is use the code not InvestSuite, but invest60. So just use that code. And if you don't mind, Patrick, would you, oh, there it is. Look at, I mean, this guy's amazing. He's already got you covered. So the purchase page there, just save the link, right? What have you. If you want to click on that, you'll see the purchase page. You can just store it, bookmark it, etc. But hold on to that page if you don't mind, and we'll get you covered and taken care of with any questions and if you had feedback or anything like that. But definitely want to get you into the follow-up event. Let me just go back to that really quick. The link is there in the chat. There's the direct link, but again, Patrick posted that, right? So that's going to be Monday. That's this coming Monday at 10 a.m. It's the 31st of March, final day of March. Can you believe that's already here? Kind of crazy to me. So time is flying. But let's get in there and we'll do this all together. Let's go out to the charts, and we have a little bit of time here. Let's see, we have just a few minutes. We'll be out on the chart, and what I'll do is spend some time. If there's any questions, I'll address those. But yeah, so without further ado, let's go take a look. Always good to have things in real time, right? So what we're looking at here is the S&P, and a lot of our tools, but ultimately you can see the Invest Suite here. So here's why this is important, right? Check this out. So what we're doing is tracking. We have a base price. In this case, we're using the ongoing. So it's 61.66 quarter. But note what happens as we arrive. So we decline, okay? We had a correction, a current correction. In fact, this is real-time price, it's live data. So we have, well, actually it's 5:03, so the markets are of course closed, but this is real time. It's exactly where the markets are closed. I want to bring your attention to the levels we have on the chart, right? So this is our real time, or excuse me, they are, I want to use the term fixed, but ultimately these are going to stay on the right side of our chart, as I mentioned. And then if we go back, you can see these historicals. All right, so I'm going to track things historically because I want to see, in fact, let's do this, right? So if we go back, look at how the reactions, look at how it reacts to these areas. So when we get that 5% correction, note we get a large move up, we fall down, we hit a 10% correction, which by the way is the conventional correction for the the index markets and so on. When we get a 10% correction, you're going to hear the media, the news outlets, and they're going to start talking. They're going to use the words. They're going to start talking about correction territory, right? Heaven forbid. We hope we don't hit the R word. Recession. We don't want to go there, All right. So this is historical. You can see how that reacted. It came down, reacted to our lower. We surpass it. What happens when we get yet another come back to our 5%, right? Large rally. We actually never look back from it. And when we do, we get another 5% correction. Note what happens yet again. Going forward in time, we revisit our 5% correction, and yet again, another rally up away from that. Finally falling down into correction territory again, 10%. Put us a negative 10%, right? It put us down a correction at 55.49 on the current front running contract, which is June. And note the reaction yet again, okay? So having this information on the chart just in and of itself, that is relatively critical in my opinion, okay? Not to mention everything that we're tracking. And by the way, there's several that I don't have enabled. We can certainly enable those. We track the current settlement price, multiple other things. And a little hint here, pay very close attention to that box at the bottom left of my chart. Okay, I'm not going to say anything more. We're going to talk about this in the follow-up event, but just take a look. Okay, hint, hint, if you will. So, so this is it in real time. Let's go. I tell you what, let's do. Let's go have a little bit of fun, right? So let's take this. I'm going to use our tool here, the fancy tab selector. And I'm going to go out to Tesla. And we could use any market. It doesn't matter. Any equity, any futures, Forex, etc. But I just, since I've referenced it multiple times, let's go look at Tesla. Okay. Now, what you're seeing is our supply demand levels on the chart, and all that will be, that's what we're doing in the live streams daily, Tuesday through Thursday. So those are, of course, no cost as well. You can join those ongoing. But let's look at that information here. Remember when I told you just a moment ago? So if we open up this large chart here, I say large meaning time frame, it's a daily chart. What I can see here, look over in my box, and I can see that today we were actually up, right? So today we were up a whopping 0.35% on the day. So that's great. Hey, I always love those positive numbers. We have a notional value there of 273.02. Okay, that's the notional value. It's not very applicable in equity specifically because the notional value is the actual price value of current price, right? This is more, the notional will be very applicable in the futures markets, and we can look back at that if you like as well. Tradable lot size based on account size and so on. I've input smaller values here. I could trade 100. Well, it's spitting out what I could trade would be 100 shares of Tesla, and I would have a trade exposure of $27,000, $27,302 to be precise. All right. So again, just having that information is pretty powerful. I hope you can start to see why we call this our Invest Suite, because it definitely goes beyond trading and it takes it to a whole different level, right? Okay, so let's go back. As a matter of fact, I could have just left that up. Let's do this. And let's go back one more time, Will. Okay, so I'm going to pin our tab selector. And I'm going to take us back to the S&P. We can look at any market. But suffice to say, let's look at this. It'll make a little bit more sense. Let's go over here, okay? We have our notional value of the micro S&P here, the futures, currently sitting at exactly $28,708.75. What does that mean? Again, I would encourage you to look up notional value. What is that? But ultimately, the notional value is going to be the value of a current contract based on, if I were, let's say, hypothetically, I were purchasing the ETF or something like that, right? The index itself. So one futures contract would be the equivalent of me putting $28,708.75 into that. Okay, so that's what the futures contract represents, if you will. And based on account size that we have input and so on and so forth, I know that I could trade 4 contracts with an exposure. So if I traded 4 contracts right now, if I hit the buy button, okay, if the markets were open, but if I hit the buy button right now, bought the market at the exact price value, I know that I would immediately have a trade exposure of $114,000, and I keep doing that, $114,835. That is for a totality of, of 4 trading 4 contracts. That's what I would end up at. All right. So, so again, a lot of information, pretty powerful. I can alter these. Again, maybe I want to track from where I actually have a position. At such point, I can do all of that. These are the use cases that we will be discussing in the follow-up event. I think this is one of those tools where we need that event. We need to go far into depth, because until we see the vast capabilities of what this can do from an investment standpoint, it might be a little bit advanced, or there are things that we might need to explain, but then we definitely need to go through the use cases. All right. So I will, if there's, I think we got just like 5 minutes here. So if we want to go through, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'll be happy to do anything. I will be manipulating the settings. I'll be doing all of that, in the follow-up event. Any questions that you have there, once we start to do that, once we go through the use cases, you're going to have probably a lot of questions. Okay. So I'll be happy to do that as well. Please let me know if you have any questions. If you'll post those into the chat real quick. I don't want to take too much of your time today. But again, grab that free registration And if you don't want further emails, simply unsubscribe, perfectly fine. Just get in that so we can go further into depth, okay? Is the recording from last week's webinar available? I've requested a link. Albert, are you referring to a NinjaTrader webinar or from one of our live streams or something like that? I believe there Patrick is answering your question as well. Okay, good deal. Probably referring to one of their prior events. Yeah, they put on a lot of good events, a lot of great information. Okay. So I know that I'm getting pretty close to time here. If you all want, we can kind of run through a few of the markets as we're concluding the session here. We had some wonderful opportunities today, and again, going back through the live streams, you'll see those in real time and how we traded them, etc. But a lot of fun. We're having a lot of fun growing a very fantastic community. Everyone's so positive and just could not be more thankful. And so we'll go through that. We'll also cover our other tools. We have our tab selector, we have our InvestSuite, and of course, our pioneered zone suite and order suite. So we have those as well we can cover during our follow-up. Okay. All right. So we had watching this 57.18 quarter, we had a fantastic, I'll show you the trade that we had from today. We did not make our supply level, unfortunately, but as you can see, we had you'll see this in the live stream and so on. We have that 57.22 level down there. We've been waiting for it. Fantastic level. We were looking for that. I will tell you, we've been spending some time on Bitcoin as well. We had fantastic trade on Bitcoin. I've seen Bitcoin, it's interesting because it to some degree seems to be correlating with the index markets. It's fantastic, but I'm really liking Bitcoin, especially given all the new details that are coming out, within it. I think there's a lot more trading activity there now, which in my opinion is a good thing. Okay, so if we're going to trade something, if I'm going to trade something, I definitely want consistency. And I want to know that, I'm not being exposed to something of extreme risk. That's like I would not want to trade a penny stock, not to say that that's right or wrong. It's just personally, I would not want to do that. And, Bitcoin was a very speculative. I mean, it's still speculative to some degree, but again, it is becoming much more consistent. So that's pretty exciting. We have been looking at this quite a bit more. And as you can see there, we had a really nice, demand trade off of that as well. So a lot to come. That's what you're going to see in our live streams, just ongoing. Any questions, we're doing it in real time, always in advance. So we're having fun with that. At least you'll be able to join those as well if you like. No cost, no nothing. We're not even selling anything. We're just there doing it and trying to have fun together. Okay, folks. So I know I'm cutting it down to the wire here. I don't see any. I know it can be kind of overwhelming, and not to worry. We'll simplify it and dumb it down to that. So that even I can understand it. Right. I'll do that in our follow up. But if we don't have any questions, I'll turn it back over to Patrick here. Unless if I missed anything, Patrick, if you'll let me know. But otherwise, I'm going to turn it back over to you, my good sir.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. Nothing missed. You got everything there.
All right. Thank you again, everyone. And thank you so much, Patrick.
No problem. Thanks for your time. Yeah. Thanks, Will. Thanks for taking the time to share that with us today. So everyone in attendance will receive an on-demand recording of today's event. Excuse me. Speaking on last week's event, we are still waiting to get that recording up. We do apologize for the delay, but the intention is you should see these either the day after or the following Monday, if Tuesday, if any. So keep an eye out for an email that'll let you know when that event recording is available. If you did enjoy today's session, we hope you'll join us for future webinars. Follow us on social media for alerts about upcoming events and other NinjaTrader ecosystem news. I'm going to post the links that we have available for everyone. And thank you, Will, again. All right, last thing here, we'd like to remind everyone that this information here presented today was that of Pure Financial Academy and not of NinjaTrader. All information was for educational purposes and should not be construed as trading advice. Please enjoy the rest of your day, and we hope to see you in future webinars. Happy trading from all of us here at the NinjaTrader ecosystem.